Now we'll go to the, under ordinances, we'll do the rental housing code third reading, and Mike, please. When you're ready.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Tonight we have the third reading of the proposed rental housing inspection program and rental housing code. The purpose of this ordinance is to establish minimum standards for ongoing inspections of all rental housing within the city of Carroll to ensure safe sanitary housing for residents of rental housing units. It does require that rental properties apply for an annual rental housing permit, and properties be inspected by the city a minimum of every 3 years in order to safeguard health, safety, and welfare of the occupants of dwellings and the general public. The city did include an incentive to encourage property owners to maintain their properties and buildings so that if there is one or fewer deficient items at the time of the first inspection, then they would not need to be re-inspected for 5 years versus the 3 years that's outlined in the code. And additionally, it would be reduced, their fee annually reduced over the 5-year period. This ordinance does support the council's adopted priority to develop and implement a rental housing code for the city of Carroll. On October 26th, the council approved the first reading of the ordinance on a 4-2 vote. And then on November 9th, they again reviewed and approved the second reading of the ordinance on a 4-2 vote. As we noted last time, there was a Scrivener error found in the ordinance that we did review that last meeting, and there is a correction ordinance that we would plan to bring back at your next council meeting if this is adopted this evening. Finally, while COVID-19 remains a concern, many communities in Iowa have begun starting up their rental housing inspection code program. As we have navigated through COVID-19, we're learning more about this virus and how to adapt to it. And to that end, there was a set of rental housing inspection COVID-19 safety procedures that were presented at the last meeting. And a lot of those procedures really came from other communities in Iowa and really a coalition of cities around the Cedar Rapids area in eastern Iowa developed those. Since that November 9th meeting, staff did update the rental housing inspection COVID-19 safety procedure. Specifically, we did clarify when we would follow these procedures. If a unit is occupied by a tenant during the time of inspection, we did note that multiple inspections may be necessary. And when inspections additionally would be suspended because of COVID-19 and the cases that are occurring in Carroll County. Based on review of a lot of different sources, we did propose the following criteria when we would suspend those inspections. And the first would be we'd suspend inspections of occupied units when the 14-day positivity rate in Carroll County was above 7.5 over the past 14 days, or over 14 days if there's 30 new cases in Carroll County, or 15 per 10,000 residents. Additionally, the city would suspend inspections of unoccupied units when the 14-day positivity rate in Carroll County was above 15, or over the past 14 days if there's more than 60 new cases in Carroll County, or 30 per 10,000 residents. We do think that does clarify some additional needed safety protocols in that. So with that, the mayor and council requested to consider and possibly approve the third reading of the ordinance and final adoption of the rental housing code for the city of Carroll. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions the council would have this evening.
No questions.
Does anyone have any questions with regards to the ordinance? Seeing none, look for a motion to.
What about the public?
We have given you, I think, a lot of time to discuss this with regards to the multiple issues, and at this point, I think the council is ready to move forward.
They are, but what about the public being called a liar?
I'm not aware of that accusation.
It was last meeting, we were called liars, and it was in the Carroll paper, we were called liars, the landlords.
Oh, but, okay. I can't speak to it. I guess I wasn't aware of that.
We don't feel that's quite proper that a public official would call a landlord a liar in public and tell us that we're lying about what's going on when it's not a lie.
Okay.
I would agree with Leo. I think it was totally unprofessional and slightly arrogant, I guess is a word to use, because all we're trying to do is protect the right of a tenant and us, because there are homes out there that are not going to be inspected that probably should. So, and all it's going to do is raise our rates, and we're getting persecuted for that.
Okay, thanks. Is there any other questions from the council for Mike?
No, but I will add, I think it was good that he added the specificity about when occupied and unoccupied rental properties will be inspected, so it's very clear regarding our criteria. That was a good addition. So that's it from me.
If not,
Who scheduled them as far as the inspection?
Margaret, is this Margaret?
Yes, it is. My question is, who schedules them?
That'll be done through the staff. And then you'll be notified when that starts to occur. And that probably won't be until March.
The very earliest.
At the earliest,
And it depends on cases, and
Right.
obviously if we have a suspension, we won't be scheduling those. But when the COVID cases are to the point that we meet those thresholds that we would proceed with inspections, those will be scheduled through the city.
And you would contact the tenant directly then?
We would contact the property owner.
I'll look for a motion to approve or hold the third reading. So moved.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. There's no other discussion. We'll go ahead and vote, please.
Cots,
Yes.
Fleshner,
No.
Seaman,
Yes.
Dirks,
No.
Base,
Yes.
Haley.
Yes.
Motion is approved 4-2.
And I need a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. There's no other discussion. We'll go ahead and vote, please.
Seaman,
Yes.
Dirks,
No.
Haley,
Yes.
Cots,
Yes.
Fleshner,
No.
Base. Yes. Ordinance is adopted 4-2.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the rental housing code fee schedule. And Mike, please.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. With the adoption of the rental housing code, a fee schedule is now needed to be adopted by the city. The fee schedule for the rental housing permits and inspections are proposed as follows. The annual permit fee for the first unit would be $35, and each additional unit in a building would be $10. The inspection fees themselves, the initial inspection, and if needed, a first reinspection would be no fee, and then the second and subsequent reinspection would be $55 per unit. These fees were reviewed and considered by the council during the review and approval process of the rental housing code ordinance. And if these continue to be found acceptable, staff would recommend approval of the proposed resolution. With that, I'd be happy to answer any question the council has this evening.
Is this after the first 2 years? This fee?
So they would have to pay the annual permit fee the first time. So what you're referring to, I believe, is in the ordinance, existing units as the date of the adoption of this ordinance would get their first permit would be actually good for 2 years until March 31st of 2023. No one would actually have to apply until March 31st of 2021. That is the required date they'd have to make their first application by. But then that first permit is actually good for 2 years till March 31st of 2023. So yes, they'd have to pay this fee for that first permit, but then it would be good for 2 years.
Okay, but we've got it. I understand that, but this fee here will come after that first 2-year period?
No,
You're gonna start it right now.
Yes, it would start with the first go around. Yes, that's how the ordinance is laid out.
Okay.
There's no inspection fee.
Right.
Are there any other questions for Mike? If not, I will need a motion to approve the resolution setting the rental housing code fee schedule.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. If there's no other discussion, we'll go ahead and vote, please.
Base,
Yes.
Fleshner,
Yes.
Haley,
Yes.
Dirks,
Yes.
Seaman,
Yes.
Cots.
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you. The next under item resolutions is the code compliance officer wage resolution. And Mike, please.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The council has been working to create a rental housing inspection program and also associated inspection programs for nuisance properties and additionally sidewalks. The city council approved in the FY 2021-2023 goals on November 9th, 2020, which included the following: to hire a code enforcement officer to handle rental housing and code enforcement programs. The city needs to get a code enforcement rental housing staff member to hire to address the ongoing problems and numerous complaints about nuisance, dangerous buildings. We need to improve the public's perception that Carroll is not well maintained as in the past. The city needs to identify and prioritize sidewalks that are needed to be improved on due to safety issues and additionally address funding. With the adoption of the rental housing ordinance this evening, establishing a code and compliance officer position is the next step in the process. Staff has developed a position description for this position, and that will oversee the rental housing inspection program, code enforcement, and the city sidewalk inspection program. Now, staff did work and reviewed wage data for similar positions in Iowa, communities throughout the state, and based on this review, staff is recommending that the wage for this position be set at $21.35.8 to $28.10.3 per hour. The position would be non-exempt position for overtime under Fair Labor Standards Act. Staff is recommending the mayor and council consider and possible approve of the salary wage resolution for the code and compliance officer for the city of Carroll for fiscal year 2020-2021. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions the council has this evening.
This can't be a salary position. Is it just too much time?
Yeah, I mean, to be a salaried position, you really have to have either some professional competency, like a attorney or architect, or you have to have some type of managerial control over other employees. This position is not envisioned to have either of those, so it would be a non-salaried position.
Are there any other questions for Mike? If not, I will look for a motion to approve the attached resolution salaries wages for the code compliance officer of the city of Carroll for the fiscal year 2020-2021.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. There's no other discussion. We'll go ahead and vote, please.
Dirks,
Yes.
Seaman,
Yes.
Haley,
Yes.
Fleshner,
Yes.
Base,
Yes.
Cots.
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you. The third item under resolutions is the 224 North Main Street property sale and redevelopment. And Mike, please.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. As the council is aware, an RFP was approved for the sale and redevelopment of 224 North Main Street by the City Council on October 12th of this year. The city received one proposal based on that RFP from Roland Real Estate LLC of Clive for the former City Hotel City Apartment site at 224 North Main. The bid price was $1,000, and the proposal proposed to redevelop the property into a fourplex rental property. Information on the proposed sale was widely circulated by the city, was also covered by local media. We did have 101 unique visitors to the city website where this was posted in the RFP section of our website, and this was viewed a total of 111 times. during the time that the RFP was posted during the submittal timeframe. If the city council wishes to move forward with the proposed bids, the city must satisfy legal requirements for disposing of real estate pursuant to Iowa code. To proceed, the council must pass a resolution setting a public hearing on the proposed disposal of the real estate. Notice of the public hearing must be published, and a public hearing would then be held at the next meeting. After the public hearing, the council may then adopt a resolution disposing of the interest in real estate, interest in this property. So the recommendation by staff tonight is that the council should consider the bid and proposal from Roland Real Estate LLC of Clive, and if they find it in the best interest of the city, that they then would approve a resolution establishing a public hearing for December 14th, 2020 for the sale of this property to Roland Real Estate LLC for $1,000. And I would note that Andy Roland from Roland Real Estate LLC is on the Zoom call this evening to answer any questions.
I know I had a question from the public with regards to the photograph that was in there, and that was basically just a example rendering. It wasn't for the purposes of what would be built specifically, correct?
Correct. I mean, obviously, the photo that was included in their packet was just 2 units. And then additionally, we did go back and discussed with them prior to actually receiving that public comment, some design changes we wanted to see just to help kind of break up the facade, because obviously just a single wall along Main Street could be a little bleak. I'll use that term, not trying to knock the term. And they agreed to add some small dormers above the front entry, and additionally to pull forward the north and south units. So there's 4 units kind of facing Main Street, so they pull forward by 3 feet minimum the north and south unit, and that will help break up that front facade a little bit. And I don't know if Andy, if you want to make any additional comments, you would need to unmute your computer so that they can hear you.
Yeah, hi, Andy Rowland. Yeah, I mean, exactly what Mike had said, that picture that was in the packet was just representation. Yeah, I mean, we've agreed to do the offset of the north and south units, and then we'll add some dormers above the doors just to break up the front look a little bit.
And then there were garages in the back?
There would be a garage space for each unit. There would be 4 garages in the back, yes.
Are they assigned to each of the apartments then? Or are they?
Yeah, they would, there's each unit would get an assigned, it'd be a single car garage per each unit assigned that comes with each unit.
Okay, so there's not an extra rental fee for the garage?
No.
Okay. Will they be a fairly standard depth garage? Are they you're gonna have a little extra depth in there for storage and stuff?
I like to put them a little deeper just so you got a little extra room in there.
Okay.
For some storage.
Would standard be 20 feet, and I see yours are at 25, is that accurate? What would you call a standard garage depth?
Let's say that one more time.
Didn't get.
Put your mic.
Your mic's on. I saw the light.
Get close to
Just pull it a little closer.
Okay, I have one question. This is Jerry, one of the council members. The standard size, would you call it be 20 feet? And you have a 25, is that accurate?
Andy, this is the mayor. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. I couldn't hear the other gentleman though.
So the question with regards to standard depth garage is 20 feet and you have 25 feet. Is that accurate? Is that kind of what you were getting at?
Yes, I
Sure.
wanted, what would he
Yeah.
consider standard?
Yeah, I've got that. Each stall would be 14 foot wide, 25 feet deep.
What's a standard depth garage, I guess, is what he was also.
Oh, I would say, 20 feet, probably 18,
Okay.
20 feet or so.
Is that,
That's all I needed.
Okay.
Just to make.
he's got it. Thank you very much. Is there a time frame to start construction, like in the spring or?
So the RFP did have some guidelines on when they would have to start and complete. So once we would accept, they would have 9 months from the date of the real estate contract to begin construction, then 18 months to finish construction. That's what was specified in the RFP.
Okay.
Was this just one lot again, Mike?
Say this
Just
again.
one lot? Or is,
So it's one parcel. The lot itself includes all of lot 9 and then a portion of the adjacent lot 10. So it's like the south 11 feet of the west 68 feet of lot 10 is also. So and that small little sliver wouldn't be buildable by itself.
These are like 2-floor apartments? Is that the way I kind of just from the picture?
Yeah, so each unit would be 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath. So upstairs is 2 bedrooms. Each bedroom has pretty good sized closet. There's a laundry room upstairs and then a full bathroom. And then downstairs is kitchen, utility room, half bathroom, family room.
They're furnished with appliances or no?
Yep, so refrigerator, dishwasher, stove, microwave. And then we do not include the washer and dryer. We will rent those at an additional cost, but we do not include the washer and dryer.
There'll be hookups in the apartments for those.
Yeah, there is hookups upstairs. There's a laundry room upstairs with hookups.
Okay.
Andy, this is Carolyn Seaman, and these are rentals, not rent to purchase, but rentals, period, correct?
Yes, rentals, period.
Okay. I've been doing I appreciate your willingness to work, Andy, on the architectural features. Before I'm prepared to make a decision, I'd like to see what it is, with the dormers, the setback on the 2. I'd like to see a rendering of that. And personally,
I have one example I could show. It's not the exact, but it shows some dormers on it to give an idea. I would be happy to show that picture now if you guys have a way to view it.
So Andy, you should be able to share your screen now. So if you're in your window, there's a toward the bottom it'll say share screen.
Yep. Can you see that?
Oh, yeah.
Can you guys see that picture?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's an example. That's a little bit different because this lot doesn't allow it, but that has a ranch unit on each side, but the lot's not wide enough. But you can see on this, where we've added some dormers above the doors and some things just to kind of, break it up a little bit and add a little something to it. We would do the same, siding, similar siding configuration where we break up the siding and put shutters on and things like that. And then like Mike had mentioned, I agreed to, on the north and south units, we would offset those forward 3 feet just to, put it on a different line of sight also.
Andy, are you going to do any landscaping besides just the lawn, any plantings?
Yeah, I typically do plantings like you can see that, probably 2 trees in the front yard, and then we usually do, a row of landscaping right along the front edge there. You can see with some bushes and stuff.
Okay.
One more question, Andy. So you have the garages in the back. Will there be a sidewalk to connect to the apartments and doors on the back side to access from the garage, or will they have to come around to the front?
Yeah, no, there will be a sidewalk off the back doors to the garages.
Okay. And then
So each one will have a small concrete patio in the back, and then a side.
they were upstairs.
Yeah, yep, 2 bedrooms, 1.5 bath.
each garage have a walk-in door?
Yes, yep. So on the side facing the building, there'll be a man door for each unit, and then a demising wall in between each garage space.
I guess I have a question. This is Margaret. What was the city's total investment in that property?
Do you remember, Mike, what that was?
I don't have that figure with me exactly, Margaret.
A rough estimate.
I would say it's probably in the range of about $150,000.
Okay. So you're basically a net loss of 149,000 is what I'm guessing. I just find that hard to believe that it's a $149,000 loss, and that out of over 100 people, no one was willing to pay more than $1,000.
This was.
And then my next question would be, is there a tax abatement on this as well?
So to answer your first question, this was the only proposal we received. So yes, $1,000 was the only bid we received. And then it is within our urban renewal area, so they would be eligible for tax abatement on the first $75,000 of value per unit for, I believe, 5 years.
So, okay, I didn't catch all that. So is tax abatement for how many years?
I believe it's 5 years off the top of my head, and it's for the first $75,000 of new value per unit. So with 4 units, it would be up to $300,000.
I wish these kinds of options were for landlords 10 years ago. I mean, so how is the city going to recoup that 149,000?
Well, the city
And the tax abatement.
So the city purchased the property and then did all the demolition through the downtown urban renewal district. So that's how it was paid for. And then we went on and with the tax abatement, abating the taxes, there's no collection, there's no new value essentially created. So there's no taxes applied to that value that's abated.
But, and no offense, Andy, but you get to collect rent in that time, and according to this, it's $1,000 a month for a 2-bedroom, which is a lot higher than most anybody else that I know of in town,
If he's able to get them.
and not paying any property taxes.
I don't think that's part of the proposal, though. Tax abatement was not part of this.
Could you not barter with Andy and say, gee, Andy, I really think the ground's worth at least $25,000. Maybe get some of the value out of the lost tax revenue? I'm just looking at it as a business and not just a city donating funds.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for Andy or Mike? If not, I'll look for a motion to approve the resolution public hearing for December 14th
Right.
for the sale of this property to Roland Real Estate LLC for $1,000.
So moved.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
There is a second. There's no other discussion from the council. We'll go ahead and vote, please.
Seaman,
Yes.
Fleshner,
Yes.
Haley,
Yes.
Dirks,
Yes.
Kotz,
Yes.
Base.
Yes.
Resolution is approved.
Then the public hearing will be at the next meeting.
Yes.
Correct. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the contract for professional services, Carroll Trails Plan Segment 3, 2020, amendment to agreement. And Jack, there's Jack. Please, go ahead, Jack.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Tonight is the amendment to the contract that you had approved earlier this year. The amendment is due to some of the work that was done at the Miracle Field, at the construction. It moved, they just feel more comfortable if they come back in and do a topographic survey again to make sure that they have the right shots and the right level. So when we do go put in the trail, it'll be put at the right level. And again, this is all part of our Northeast Master Plan with the Miracle Field, playground equipment, the trail. There's eventually gonna be a parking lot, possibly a parking lot, concession stand. So there's still a lot of construction, and they wanna make sure this puts it at the right grade and it's done correctly. So the additional work that they're gonna do is $2,000. Original contract was $36,500. Additional $2,000 brings the total to $38,500. The budget, talking with Laura last week, cash on hand is approximately $176,500. The current budget has $250,000, $100,000 from Hotel Motel, and $150,000 from Lost. And then upcoming budget, if you so desire, we'll add Hotel Motel again of $100,000 and local office sales tax of $150,000. That would bring the total to $670,000. And I just looked up the cost estimate from February of this year. It was about $300,000. So I would anticipate that maybe possibly being up anywhere from 3 to 6%. So again, you're looking in the low 300s for the project. So there's plenty of money to do the project. So with that, I would ask the mayor and council consider and approve the amendment to the agreement, the additional $2,000 to bring the total fee to $38,500. And I'd answer any questions.
Jack, so they're just doing the topographic area that's in the square, not the whole Northeast Park?
Sorry, Mayor, I couldn't hear that.
I'm sorry. Are they just doing the survey area in the square area, or are they gonna do the whole park?
No, the squared area. Because the trail is going to be on the east side of the park. And then this is the area where the Miracle Field was put in.
Right.
So that's where the dirt work was changed and altered a little bit. So that's really the area on the east side of the field. And they want to bring it in at the right level. So if we do put in a parking lot to the west of the trail and east of the playground equipment, everything will be at the grade it needs to be.
Okay, thanks, Jack.
Yep.
Are there any other questions for Jack? If not, I need a motion to approve the amended agreement for professional services with Shive Hattery for the Carroll Trails Plan Segment 3, 2020, for a total fee of $38,500.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. If there's no other discussion, we'll go ahead and vote, please.
Kotz,
Yes.
Dirks,
Yes.
Haley,
Yes.
Base,
Yes.
Fleshner,
Yes.
Seaman.
Yes.
Resolution is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. The next item on the agenda is the Wendell Subdivision Plat 2, and Mike, please.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Tonight is the Wendell Subdivision Plat 2 subdivision before you this evening, both preliminary and final plat submitted by Matthew Wendell. This subdivision is located on the south side of Highway 30. Generally would include the Housby and Max site, and then the mobile home park to the east of that. The property was identified in the comprehensive plan as mobile home park and commercial. The existing zoning is B2 general business park for the lot 1 and the north part of lot 3, and then R6 mobile home park for lot 2 and the south part of lot 3. The development consists of 3 lots, and they're each 5 acres in size, or at least 5 acres in size, and meet the minimum requirements for development in this area. There are no new streets or right-of-ways proposed with this development, and all 3 will have access onto Highway 30. No new utilities are proposed with this development. This is really being done to re-coordinate some of the lots that are currently out there and to facilitate a land sale that is going to occur. The Planning and Zoning Commission did meet on November 11th and recommended that the council approve the plat, both the preliminary and final plats, and waive any platting irregularities. They had additional conditions, and those have been met regarding some zoning issues that were listed on the plat. They corrected that information, and so that's shown correctly. That was included in the packet. So with that, the City Council is recommended to approve, or the staff is recommending to City Council that they approve the Wendell subdivision plat 2 preliminary and final plats and waive any platting irregularities. With that, I'd be happy to answer questions the council has this evening.
Are there rental units out there, do you know? On those, is that, this is a mobile home park?
Right.
I understand it.
Correct. So yes, I mean, there's a combination of both owner kind of occupied where they rent the land, and then there's some rental out there too, is my understanding today.
Okay.
Well, you see on proposed lot 3, there's already there businesses there already. That's filled in.
Correct.
The Mack truck dealership.
Oh, yeah, no, look at it's upside down. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I got it, okay. So this is just.
Yeah, the aerial that's showing for the lot 3 is an old aerial. It doesn't show what's out there today.
Yeah. And now I see where Highway 30 is. Looking at everything else down there. Okay. Are there any other questions for Mike? If not, I will need a motion to approve the Wendell subdivision plat 2 preliminary plat and waive any platting irregularities.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. If there's no other discussion, we'll go ahead and vote, please.
Dirks,
Yes.
Cots,
Yes.
Seaman,
Yes.
Fleshner,
Yes.
Base,
Yes.
Haley.
Yes.
Resolution is approved.
And then I need a motion to approve the final plat, waiving any irregularities of the Wendell subdivision plat 2.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. If there's no other discussion, we'll go ahead and vote, please.
Base,
Yes.
Cots,
Yes.
Seaman,
Yes.
Haley,
Yes.
Fleshner,
Yes.
Dirks.
Yes.
Resolution is approved.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the Biochemetrics Holdings LLC and DMBA Properties and Consulting Inc. Annual Tax Increment Finance Appropriations for fiscal year 2020. And Laura, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. A few years ago, the city entered into a development agreement with Biochemetrics Holdings and DMBA Properties to develop an area and construct a 17,000 square foot building, along with create 10 new jobs in the building. In exchange, the city would provide for a tax increment grant for the new building and the jobs over a 15-year period, not to exceed a total amount of $300,000. The agreement provides that a provision for the tax increment grant shall be subject to annual appropriations by City Council. So prior to December 1 of each year, during the term of the agreement, the council shall consider the question of obligating to fund this grant to be collected in the next fiscal year. Annual appropriations is common in these type of agreements in Iowa, and without this, the city would be required to count the total amount of the grant against our debt obligation and our constitutional debt limit. While this language does allow for current and future councils to choose to not appropriate funds without any recourse from the developer, such an action does carry consequences for the city. If the city would choose to not appropriate the funds, the bond rating would likely go to junk status, and in the end, the city's ability to borrow money would be affected, and the city would be able to borrow funds then, like we'd be hammered with a higher interest rate and cost the city more money in the end. The developer has completed construction of the building as required by the agreement and has created and as certified this past October of 8 new jobs instead of the required 10. If the developer fails to create or maintain the minimum jobs, the agreement does allow for council to reduce the grant by percentage of the 10 jobs the developer was obligated to create. So this year could result in a 20% reduction. The attached resolution has been prepared to reflect the reduction of the grant by 20% for the next fiscal year if council so chooses to do so. And it also appropriates the TIF collection revenue to be paid to the developer, which is important for our upcoming next year's, excuse me, budget and getting that valuation into the TIF process. This is the fourth year of our annual appropriations, and the remaining grant amount is just under $251,000 left. With that, I would hopefully be able to answer any questions.
I did get a letter from Steve, but I see he's online. Steve, I can make the comments with regards to your letter. If you want to unmute yourself, if you want to make them, that's fine.
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I did send an email to each individual on the council separately.
Okay.
What I'm asking of the council is, since we're at 8 full-time employees, and starting next week, we'll actually be at 9, we're hiring a software programmer. I had previously informed the city manager that that wouldn't happen until January, but we've recently made a decision to hire that person starting December 1st next week. In addition, we are hiring 2 other individuals in 2021, one in Q1, one in Q2, based on a contract that we've recently secured. That contract was supposed to have happened a few months ago, but due to COVID, it got delayed. So we will be at the 10 required employees in Q1 of 2021. So I'm asking for consideration from the council to not make any changes to the current agreement, because for 2021, for that year, we're only talking about a couple of months, 2 to 3 months, that I wouldn't be in compliance with the minimum 10 number of employees. The other thing I would like you to consider is that based on the current salaries of the existing employees, if you divide that by 10, it still adds up to greater than $40,000. So it would equate to 10 employees is what I'm trying to say, based on that. So we are generating, the taxes that 10 full-time equivalents would equal. In addition to that, due to COVID, we had a very rough spot from April through June. We're back on track now, but if it wasn't for the government loans, it would have been very troublesome. And I would ask for consideration that no changes be made to the existing plan and agreement that we have. I'm open for additional questions. I have a lot more detail in the email I sent you, but due to time factors, I'm open for questions.
Any questions for Steve? I'm sorry, Steve. I just saw the letter was to me. I didn't realize everybody else had gotten it, but no, I appreciate that. Thank you. So everybody else had a chance to see it then. Okay. Are there any questions for Mike? He'll have 9 by next week, correct?
Next week.
Next week, okay.
And I guess I have a question procedurally. Does any action have to take place on this, or is there a vote that has to happen to renew it, or is the vote only required if there's a change to it? I'm not sure what the procedure is.
We have to have this done by December 1st, if I'm not mistaken. So we have to do it at this meeting, no matter what, so we get it filed correctly on time with the state. Is that correct?
This has to be done annually. It's called the annual appropriation measure. So the council does need to take an action to appropriate this annually. And it's really through this resolution that sets the amount of that appropriation. So to answer your question, yes, Steve, it has to be done. Council has to take some type of action by December 1st. We have to file it by December 1st.
Okay, so I guess I'm respectfully asking that it just simply be renewed as is.
What's the financial effect on Steve if we do the 20% versus leaving it as is? Can you guesstimate?
Right, and I'm
4,000, isn't it?
off the top of my head, I'm just basing this off, and it varies based upon, depending on what the TIF rate will be set at for next fiscal year, which we won't know that until all the taxing authorities file their levies. But based upon the amount that he was paid last year, a 20% reduction would be about $3,600, give or take a few hundred.
And what he doesn't get this year with the jobs being in next year, he'll get next year.
It would be
Right.
100% of what was paid next year.
Right.
So if we did 10%, it'd be an $1,800.
Roughly.
Are all these jobs in Carroll? Steve, can you comment on that? I'm just curious. Physically in Carroll?
We
Steve,
have
oh,
currently 8, we'll have 9 starting next week at the building. We have other employees, but not here.
Do we have an alternate, an option to change this? Should he come up with the 10 jobs during this year or not? So it has to be now or never.
Yeah, the action you take tonight is a now or never.
Okay.
For 1 year.
For 1 year.
Just for 1
For
year.
1 year.
There's
yes.
$250,000 left for him to in the amount available. So we're early into this, 11 years left, with $250,000 left for him to capture in appropriations.
You'll have 9 employees. That's why, is that what you were talking about, Vern, the 10% instead of 20?
Yeah, 1,800.
And that's an estimate. I mean, those rates and tax rates, I mean, we have the sub-tax rates, and then obviously the TIF rate will get set later too.
Steve, this is Jerry Fleshner. Do you have a contract in place with this 9th employee at this time?
We do. As a matter of fact, he's working right now. As a matter of fact, he's a student who's going to graduate from Iowa State on Wednesday. And he's here in the building now. He's going to be taking his finals from here.
Well, that's nice.
New world.
He's in the room right next door.
Traveling test bank. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Guess I'd entertain a motion with regards to 10% reduction then, I guess,
Yeah, I would.
from that perspective,
I'm
because I think
inclined to
he's got
think that
one.
We can trust the one job since he's got him under contract,
Yeah, it's there.
to assume
that
the
for
other
sure.
ones would be more than I'd be willing to do at
To
this
go.
time.
I would think that'd be a fair compromise, at least at this point, because it's due. We have to have that information in and done. So.
If that was a motion, Jerry, I would second it.
It can be if we're ready, if there's no more discussion, we haven't called for a motion
Yeah, that's
yet,
what I was gonna
so-
say, if there's,
I was thinking just like you, Jerry.
okay.
Right, or I didn't know if we were done discussing, so it's not a motion yet.
Okay,
I'm of the belief that with $488,000 worth of payroll here now and one more coming, I don't personally see any reason not to proceed as normal. I think Dr. Kraus has proven that he's going to do what he says and bring the jobs into town. If the rest of the council's not comfortable with that, then I understand that true.
then I will look for that motion.
I'll make the motion to establish this at 90%,
So a 10% reduction.
10% reduction.
For this year only.
For 1 year only, yes.
Because it comes back every year anyway.
Right.
We have to
Yes.
annually renew it every year.
So to be clear, just so we get it right, there is a whereas clause that'll stay as a 20% reduction, just to know that that's what the council could do. And then in section 2, we will change it from 20 to 10% to follow with what is suggested. Does that make sense?
That's the motion I would make, yes.
I would second.
There's a motion and a second. If there's no other discussion, we'll go ahead and vote, please.
Ace,
Yes.
Haley,
Yes.
Seaman,
No.
Cox,
Yes.
Dirks,
Yes.
Fleshner.
Yes.
Motion's approved 5-1.
Thank you. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate your time. Let's see, the next item on the agenda is the 6th amended and restated downtown urban renewal interloan. And Laura, I believe.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. For the past several years, council has passed a resolution to create an interfund loan that transfers money from our water utility fund to the Corridor Commerce Capital Project Fund to pay for phases of the streetscape projects. At this time, it's anticipated that an additional $150,000 is needed to finish the streetscape Phase 10 project. Attached is a resolution that authorizes this loan, pledging then tax increment revenues that will be received from our downtown urban renewal area to repay this loan. It has been advised by our bonding attorney to document the entitlement for the repayment of the loan so that we can use this TIF monies out of the area. So with that, you have a resolution that would authorize an internal loan to the Corridor Commerce Capital Project Fund from the Water Utility Fund, and then pledges the tax increment revenues from the downtown urban renewal area to repay that loan. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions council has.
Yeah, it was for Streetscape 10. Okay. Yeah. I saw that. Are there any questions for Laura? If not, I will look for a motion to authorize the internal loan to the Corridor of Commerce Capital Project Fund from the Water Utility Fund and pledging tax increment revenues from the downtown urban renewal area for the repayment of the loan.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. There's no other discussion. We'll go ahead and vote, please.
Dirks,
Yes.
Seaman,
Yes.
Haley,
Yes.
Fleshner,
Yes.
Cox,
Yes.
Base.
Yes.
Resolution is approved.
Thank you. The next item is reports, and there are none. I trust everyone's read the committee reports. And I hope everyone has a safe and healthy Thanksgiving this year. And are there any comments from anyone from the city council? Any comments from the city manager?
Not this evening.
With that, I need a motion to go into the closed session per Iowa Code 21.51C, strategy with the legal counsel.
Dave, it's been a long time since I could ask this, so we legally go into closed session.
Council is so authorized.
Make the motion.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. We'll go and vote, please.
Haley,
Yes.
Dirks,
Yes.
Base,
Yes.
Cox,
Yes.
Fleshner,
Yes.
Seaman.
Yes.